that we came to not for the amenities, although that's a great perk, but we came for the staff.
Call today to receive 20% off grooming and 1 free day of day camp.
Want to know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our email newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else.
Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today.
You know, we've been talking about betrayal, and, you know, I was talking to you so much, Samara, about making sure you understand that I understood. I was hearing your thinking back then and not now. It is a sad fact, but there are just certain things you just don't trust other people with. And we live in a different era because we are in this internet world, this YouTube world, this stuff where you can do something in Omaha and they're looking at it in China 3 minutes later. It is a different world. Just think about the fact that anything you put up anywhere, you need to be willing and prepared to see again. And the old saying, it seemed like a good idea at the time. What seems like a good idea on a Saturday night is not going to seem like a good idea when you're sitting in front of an admissions counselor at college trying to get admitted. Don't do it. You've got to find peace after betrayal, and it starts with forgiveness. It's a choice. You choose it. Don't give your power away. The only person that you control is you, so focus on you. And don't cling to negative feelings, because they'll possess you if you do. You may have to make a conscious effort every day to forgive, to get up and say, I'm letting this go. I'm not going to invest hatred, bitterness, anger, and resentment in this person anymore. There's no way you can change the things that have happened in your life, but you can decide how you interpret them and how you respond to them. I want to thank all of my guests today. I hope you guys find peace. Thanks for being here. So long.
My name is Irina Lund, and I live in Seattle, Washington, and I was born in Moscow, Russia. Before ITT Tech, I was bartending, and sometimes I had to work 2 different jobs. You don't get to see your family. I decided to do something about it. I've been driving by this big building with ITT Tech sign on it. I work for Play Network, and I'm a network support engineer.
I was really, really proud of her to the way that she stuck it out. My mom is a role model to me.
I definitely would have gone to ITT Tech much earlier than I did. I don't know what I was waiting for.
Scholarships and financial aid are available for students who qualify. To find out more, call 1-800-ITT-TECH or visit us on the web. ITT Technical Institute. Education for the future.
This is a KCCI 8 News Update.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kevin Cooney, KCCI 8 News. Coming up today on KCCI 8 News at 5, with the government posed for a major shutdown in just a few hours. We'll tell you the effects here in Iowa and what is and is not affected. Also, you'll hear from the president momentarily. He's expected to speak from the press room at the White House. We'll have the latest from our Washington bureau at 5 on all this. Also coming up, getting the lawn ready for winter. What you should do now to get the grass a little greener next spring. Also, some rain would help out those lawns and gardens out there. Chief Meteorologist John McLaughlin will be along with the rain chances later in the week that could also affect some football. Now we're going to break away to CBS and the White House.
This is a CBS News special report. Good afternoon. I'm Scott Pelley. President Obama is about to deliver a statement from the White House briefing room. This comes as the federal government faces a shutdown about 7 hours from now. Here's the dispute. The House has passed a bill to continue funding the government, but only if the Affordable Health Care Act, known as Obamacare, is delayed for 1 year. The Senate has refused to go along with that. Major Garrett is is at the White House for us this afternoon. Major?
Scott, the president will tell the country he wants to keep the government open, and he's not going to negotiate any reductions in partial or full of Obamacare to keep the government open. And if Republicans will not relent in their long-running crusade to either delay the implementation of Obamacare or eliminate it completely, then the government will shut down at midnight tonight. We don't know how long that will occur, but we do know the president will say, I have worked hard to put this law into effect, which also begins, as far as signing up, Scott, at midnight tonight. So you have these two deadlines coming together, whether to keep the government open and the beginning of the implementation in full of the president's health care law. The president wants that health care law to stay on the books, and he wants to stare down House Republicans. It's really a faction of about 40 or 60 of them who are adamant about trying to undercut the law. The president wants to defeat them, make sure the Obamacare law stays in effect, and he wins this budget dispute with Republicans on his terms. That will be the main message he delivers from the podium here in just a second.
And here is the president in the White House briefing room.
Good afternoon, everybody. Of all the responsibilities the Constitution endows to Congress, two should be fairly simple: pass a budget and pay America's bills. But if the United States Congress does not fulfill its responsibility to pass a budget today, much of the United States government will be forced to shut down tomorrow. And I want to be very clear about what that shutdown would mean, what will remain open and what will not. With regard to operations that will continue, if you're on Social Security, you will keep receiving your checks. If you're on Medicare, your doctor will still see you. Everyone's mail will still be delivered, and government operations related to national security or public safety will go on. Our troops will continue to serve with skill, honor, and courage. Air traffic controllers, prison guards, those who are with border patrol will remain on their posts, but their paychecks will be delayed until the government reopens. NASA will shut down almost entirely, but Mission Control will remain open to support the astronauts serving on the space station. I also want to be very clear about what would change. Office buildings would close, paychecks will be delayed, vital services that seniors and veterans, women and children, businesses, and our economy depend on would be hamstrung. Business owners would see delays in raising capital, seeking infrastructure permits, or rebuilding after Hurricane Sandy. Veterans who've sacrificed for their country will find their support centers unstaffed. Tourists will find every one of America's national parks and monuments, from Yosemite to the Smithsonian to the Statue of Liberty, immediately closed. And of course, the communities and small businesses that rely on these national treasures for their livelihoods will be out of customers and out of luck. And in keeping with the broad ramifications of a shutdown, I think it's important that everybody understand the federal government is America's largest employer. More than 2 million civilian workers and 1.4 million active duty military serve in all 50 states and all around the world. In the event of a government shutdown, hundreds of thousands of these dedicated public servants who stay on the job will do so without pay. And several hundred thousand more will be immediately and indefinitely furloughed without pay. What, of course, will not be furloughed are the bills that they have to pay, their mortgages, their tuition payments, their car notes. These Americans are our neighbors. Their kids go to our schools. They worship where we do. They serve their country with pride. They are the customers of every business in this country, and they would be hurt greatly. And as a consequence, all of us will be hurt greatly should Congress choose to shut the people's government down. So a shutdown will have a very real economic impact on real people right away. Past shutdowns have disrupted the economy significantly. This one would too. It would throw a wrench into the gears of our economy at a time when those gears have gained some traction. 5 years ago, right now, our economy was in meltdown. Today, our businesses have created 7.5 million new jobs, over the past 3.5 years. The housing market is healing, and our deficits are falling fast. The idea of putting the American people's hard-earned progress at risk is the height of irresponsibility, and it doesn't have to happen. Let me repeat this. It does not have to happen. All of this is entirely preventable if the House chooses to do what the Senate has already done, and that's the simple act of funding our government without making extraneous and controversial demands in the process, the same way other Congresses have for more than 200 years. Unfortunately, right now, House Republicans continue to tie funding of the government to ideological demands like limiting a woman's access to contraception or delaying the Affordable Care Act, all to save face after making some impossible promises to the extreme right wing of their party. So let me be clear about this. An important part of the Affordable Care Act takes effect tomorrow, no matter what Congress decides to do today. The Affordable Care Act is moving forward. That funding is already in place. You can't shut it down. This is a law that passed both houses of Congress, a law that bears my signature, a law that the Supreme Court upheld as constitutional, a law that voters chose not to repeal last November, a law that is already providing benefits to millions of Americans in the form of young people staying on their parents' plan until they're 26, seniors getting cheaper prescription drugs, making sure that insurance companies aren't imposing lifetime limits when you already have health insurance, providing rebates for consumers when insurance companies are spending too much money on overhead instead of health care. Those things are already happening. Starting tomorrow, tens of millions of Americans will be able to visit healthcare.gov to shop for affordable health care coverage. So Americans who've lived for years in some cases with the fear that one illness could send them into bankruptcy, Americans who've been priced out of the market just because they've been sick once, they'll finally be able to afford coverage, quality coverage, many of them for the first time in their lives. Some of them may be sick as we speak. And this is their best opportunity to get some security and some relief. Tens of thousands of Americans die every single year because they don't have access to affordable health care. Despite this, Republicans have said that if we lock these Americans out of affordable health care for one more year, if we sacrifice the health care of millions of Americans, then they'll fund the government for a couple of more months. Does anybody truly believe that we won't have this fight again in a couple of more months? Even at Christmas? So here's the bottom line. I'm always willing to work with anyone of either party to make sure the Affordable Care Act works better, to make sure our government works better. I'm always willing to work with anyone to grow our economy faster or to create new jobs faster, to get our fiscal house in order for the long run. I've demonstrated this time and time again, oftentimes to the consternation of my own party. But one faction of one party in one house of Congress, in one branch of government, doesn't get to shut down the entire government just to refight the results of an election. Keeping the people's government open is not a concession to me. Keeping vital services running and hundreds of thousands of Americans on the job is not something you give to the other side. It's our basic responsibility. It's something that we're doing for our military and our businesses and our economy and all the hard-working people out there, the person working for the agricultural department out in some rural community who's out there helping some farmers make sure that they're making some modest profit for all the hard work they're putting in. They're the person working for HUD, who's helping somebody buy a house for the first time. There's somebody in a VA office who's counseling one of our vets who's got PTSD. That's who we're here to serve. That's why we're supposed to be carrying out these responsibilities. That's why we should be avoiding this kinds of constant brinksmanship. It's something that we do in the ordinary process of this extraordinary system of government that we have. You don't get to extract a ransom for doing your job, for doing what you're supposed to be doing anyway, or just because there's a law there that you don't like. The American people sent us here to govern. They sent us here to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make their lives a little bit better, to create new jobs, to restore economic security, to rebuild the prospects of upward mobility. That's what they expect. And they understand that there are differences between the parties. And we're going to be having some tough fights around those differences. And I respect the fact that the other party's not supposed to agree with me 100% of the time, just like I don't agree with them. But they do also expect that we don't bring the entire government to a halt or the entire economy to a halt just because of those differences. And that's what they deserve. They've worked too hard for too long to recover from previous crises just to have folks here in Washington manufacture yet another one that they have to dig themselves out of. So Congress needs to keep our government open, needs to pay our bills on time, and never ever threaten the full faith and credit of the United States of America. And time's running out. My hope and expectation is that in the 11th hour once again, that Congress will choose to do the right thing, and that the House of Representatives in particular will choose the right thing. Thank you very much.
President Obama speaking live from the briefing room at the White House, clearly exasperated by what has been going on the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, where the House of Representatives and the Senate have not been able to agree on a bill to continue funding the federal government because a certain faction of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives is insisting on attaching a rider to that bill that would delay the implementation of the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Joining us now is our chief Washington correspondent and the anchor of Face the Nation, Bob Schieffer. Bob, give us some insight into all of this.
Well, he's not backing down. He is telling the House, and I thought his words, the key sentence, one faction of one party and one branch of the government doesn't get to shut down the government to reverse the results of an election. I don't think you could say it in stronger terms than he just said it. You know, the irony here, Scott, is that Republicans want to defund Obamacare and keep the government operating. What's going to happen unless they withdraw these things that they keep trying to add on to this legislation is Obamacare is going to be funded. It's going to go forward, but the rest of the government, so much of the rest of the government is going to have to shut down. But so far, no break. I think we're headed toward a government shutdown. How long it lasts, we'll find out, but I think that's where we're headed.
Bob Schieffer, thanks very much. Funding for the government runs out in about 6 hours and 45 minutes, but both the House and the Senate are working on this, and there could be major developments over the next few hours. There will be much more on this CBS station, always on CBSNews.com, and of course we'll have complete coverage for you right here on the CBS Evening News. Until then, I'm Scott Pelley, CBS News in New York.
For news 24 hours a day, go to CBSNews.com.
Dogwoods Lodge. Your dog can be pampered in our first-rate spa and play in the fun, secure day camp yards.
Day camp is a great way for Jax to burn off his energy. Definitely a great way to socialize him.
Call today to receive 20% off grooming and 1 free day of day camp.
Wanted more students like these, like you. Like the beat. PCI Academy is the future of beauty schools. We teach you about the beauty business for a lifelong career. Go to PCI-Academy.com. PCI Academy is you. Tuition's being reduced. Books and kits are free. You have no excuse. Enroll today. PCI-Academy.com.
Before I started coming to New Leaf, I was experiencing at least 15 to 20 hot flashes a day. I had no energy. I work out and play tennis all the time, and I couldn't do those things. And my physical relationship with my husband was non-existent. And now I have no more hot flashes. I can play tennis. My relationship with my husband is 200% better, and he likes me a lot better now.
Love life again with natural hormone therapy from New Leaf Wellness. Call today for your free consultation.
I feel better than I've ever felt.
American Furniture. We've got the looks, we've got the selection, and we bring you unheard of value. This huge Sony 60-inch super bright LED smart TV with 1080p and 120 hertz fast motion is free at American with furniture purchases of $24.99 and up. Access the internet, stream music and movies, and enjoy the incredible picture from this 60-inch Sony LED free with the furniture you want, totaling $24.99 or more. American, helping you get it right.
Wiley Eye Care Centers provide the highest quality eyewear and eye care in Iowa. We do that with a simple set of principles we call the Wiley Promise. We provide quality, high-fashion eyewear at a fair price. We offer affordable eye exams, and we promise to deliver outstanding customer service. Our on-site lab features state-of-the-art technology, providing you with the best vision possible. For over 65 years, Wiley Eye Care Centers, delivering on our promise to you. Come see us.
Dogwood Lodge offers after-hours drop-off and pickup, heated floors, and luxury indoor-outdoor rooms.
He loves it here. This is his second home.
She loves coming to Dogwood Lodge, and she can't wait to come back.
Call today to receive 20% off grooming and 1 free day of day camp.
We now join the following program already in progress.
It is
A, sesame oil.
gargling with sesame oil. How have you been doing this?
So I've been doing it for about 2 years. I just take 1 tablespoon sesame oil, put it in my mouth, I swish it back and forth, kind of like mouthwash. You want to build up to 20 minutes a day, first thing in the morning.
It's about that much?
Yep, that's perfect.
Can I do this, or will it incapacitate me for the rest of the segment?
No, you'll feel great after. And so it pulls out any bacteria from your teeth and gums, and then you want to make sure you spit it out, don't swallow it after.
Narco Tamara. Oh, all right, but it tastes like soap. But
It actually acts like soap.
It does.
That's why it tastes like. It pulls off everything out of your teeth.
All right, audience, what do you guys think? Crazy or not crazy? They think it makes sense. Who does this? You know that
My
woman?
sister.
Oh, your sister? Yes, you look. Come over here. You look like your sister. All right. But you should put your hand up. Now, did you teach your sister? Who's older, by the way?
She's older, but I actually taught her.
And does she really do it all the time?
She does, yeah, for about 2 years.
Do you think it's sane? Do you think it's crazy or not?
I mean, I do it, so I guess I'm crazy if I do it too.
All right. Audience, the correct answer is not crazy. Thank you. Have a seat. I love that you're doing this. This is so smart. It's an Ayurvedic technique. It's called oil pulling. I've actually recommended it to folks. People in my family have used it. Have you noticed changes in your gums, your teeth?
Oh yeah, no cavities, great gum health. I think my teeth are pretty white. Are they white?
I think they're pretty white too. Very well done. Congratulations.
Thank
All right.
you.
Maria's last. So what do you do for a living, Maria?
I actually dance with a professional Latin dance company.